Hello, hello everyone. Welcome back. We are here at Adobe MAX 2023, live from the Adobe Live community booth. My name is Voodoo Val. I'm an illustrator here in the community, and I am joined by the one and only Sydney Michuda. How are you, Sydney?
Great, how are you, Val?
I'm super excited for today. I'm very excited about what you're going to be working on. We are here doing first takes for graphic design, which is going to be pretty exciting. I know that you've got some magic cooked up for us, but before we dive into everything, I would love to remind everybody, because I can see we've got so many friends and buddies in the chat over on the live chat. If you guys have not already, definitely give a subscribe to the Adobe Live YouTube channel, and also follow us at Adobe Live on Instagram, because we've got some pretty cool updates, some things going on over there on Instagram. You can keep up to date on all the stuff we're working on. But without further ado, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, Sydney?
Yeah.
Show us a little bit about you, what you work on, and then give us the rundown of today's project.
Yeah. So I am a graphic designer. I kind of run my own freelance biz / agency studio thing called Super Creative. We specialize mostly in branding, graphic design, illustration, websites, and then just all the other fun stuff that designers get our hands into. I love working with really passionate people like myself, smaller businesses, and just any way to bring like really cool art approaches to the work that we do. And today I'm going to be working on a faux pasta brand, well, like kind of incorporating some of the new features that Illustrator has.
Can't go wrong with pasta.
Yep.
Can't go wrong with pasta, so
Yeah.
very excited. We've got Cody Bear in the chat, holding down the fort, saying hello to us. We've got Robert and Reaper Mike. It's good to see all of you folks. Steve, good to see you. Oliver, Vandal, welcome in everyone on the YouTube side of things. It's good to see you. I think that we've got actually some serious OG viewers in the chat as well. People like Steve, people like Reverb, and I also see some new folks like Akin coming through. It's good to see all of you folks.
I see my friend Jumana, my friend Hannah in there.
Hi Hannah, hi Jumana. Good to see you. We've got some valid Sydney hand wave emojis in the chat. So I would love to see emojis in the chat. Actually, if we can get a little chat wave going on, that would be amazing. I think that's one of my goals whenever we do live stuff, is to see if we can start a chat wave.
Yeah.
Anytime we can start a chat wave, that is a success. Wade Acuff in the chat as well. It's good to see you, Wade. I'm really excited to be here at Adobe MAX. You were talking about some of the features and things that we might jump into. I know that we're doing the kind of pasta sort of rebrand thing, and maybe we can talk a little bit about your thought process before we jump into our designing here. Because when you go into this and you start like laying out all the groundwork and stuff, what kind of stuff do you think about as you kind of move into that process?
Yeah, so this one's a little bit different because it's not a real client. It's just kind of a passion project that I get to use to present to you guys here. But for a real client, I'll usually start by sending them a pretty extensive brand questionnaire for them to fill out, so I get as many answers directly from them as possible.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And then it allows me to take like what they already kind of have cooking in their mind and then mix it with our expert opinion. And yeah, then we just kind of we create mood boards. We try to mix up what's possible for who they are, who their audience is, what's appropriate for the industry, but still doing things that allow them to step out. Yeah.
Your work and your studio really says, like when I go and I look at all of like your past work and the portfolio and everything, I feel like there's always like just something about that, and I can see that during that communication process, you really kind of show that. We can take a look now and kind of browse through and see some of that unique spark.
Yeah. All right. So just going through my website here. That cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. So I launched my new brand, new design, new website like right before my last Adobe Live. So that was a bit of a push, but she's all ready now. So yeah, like I said, brand identities, illustration, print and packaging, web design, brand strategy, messaging, social media, friendly attitudes. Lots of different projects here. Currently in the process of reworking my services page because as creatives, we always need to have things as a work in process. Yeah, let's see. This is one of the projects that I did on my very first Adobe Live up here.
Loved, by the way.
Pottery with a Purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump in and check that
Yeah, such a fun brand to work on. And that's kind of what I really like to do with a lot of my projects is just, even though there'll be different companies, different demographics, different industries and everything, I just love making things fun and playful.
Absolutely.
Because playful doesn't need to mean juvenile or like young. Playful, like you can have a playful adult brand or like a playful pasta brand or a cereal brand or like makeup and things like that. And even though it can be still like refined and elegant and sophisticated, you can still add playful elements, whether it's in the copy, the illustrations, and just so many different things. And I think that that's one of the biggest connective threads in my work, is just that fun, playful attitude.
Absolutely, and it definitely shows. I definitely feel that playful, but you know, a lot of these have that playful element while also still being like very chic and very clean, very crisp, very professional. And I think you do a great job kind of bringing that out for all of these different unique products.
Like a walking table?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? We kind of got that going on today.
Yeah,
we're walking
exactly.
around doing our little stand.
We're standing up.
You know, our little jam here at Adobe MAX. Anthony Jackson in the chat saying, awesome work. Wade saying, friendly attitudes, you are hired. Yes, absolutely. Playful attitude, you're double hired. Yes, indeed. Oliver saying Behance is back now. Yes, indeed. Maybe, you know, let your friends know in the chat if they can't see us, just to give us a little bit of a refresh, and they should be able to see our smiling faces. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what you jump in for today, because I know we're going to be doing that pasta brand, and this is kind of a great opportunity for everybody to kind of like see inside the mind of Sydney here, because I aspire to brand as powerfully as these images we get to see today. So I'm excited to see your process.
Yeah. All right, shall I dive in?
Yeah, go
All
for
right,
it.
cool. So recently, my husband and I went on basically like a 2-week trip to Italy, and while I was there, I kind of had to think up what I was going to do for this Adobe Live, and I really had noodles on the brain. So it had to be something pasta or Italy related, and I settled on designing a brand for like a packaged pasta company. And after doing since it's again a company that I'm just kind of making up, I went through like a few different name possibilities. I almost said pastabilities.
Honestly,
and not even trying to do that.
Are happening right now. Okay?
Possibilities.
Possibilities coming true today.
So experimenting with different names, different typefaces, but then of course I had to look up like pasta puns and things. So I found the term, the pun Imp Pasta,
which is perfect.
Yeah,
absolutely perfect.
So then that kind of lent itself to the rest of this brand, where it's called Imp Pasta, and it's really, really tasty noodles, but it's made from like healthy superfoods. So like beans, lentils, but it like actually tastes good and it doesn't taste like sand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I chose a like more of a sophisticated editorial serif typeface here. So it has, again, like I was saying earlier, that like little bit of sophistication to it.
Yeah.
But then it's got that goofy spaghetti M.
Which is perfect, because it does, like, you're right, it does have that sophistication, but it kind of gives you like a little squiggle, you know,
little taste.
Little fun there. Loving it.
And it's kind of like the noodle is pretending to be a letter, so it's like impersonating pasta. So it's an impasta.
It's an impasta pasta.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. We've also got some folks participating in the chat, talking about noodles on the noodle.
Yeah, there you go.
Oodles of noodles on the noodle.
I love it.
And I'm loving it. Keep them coming, folks. Keep the pasta puns
as many
going
as
in the
possible.
Chat.
Yeah, I'll put them on a T-shirt.
Yes.
But yeah, so then from there, I created this little brand icon. I don't know if this was a real brand, how well this would work in, but I just had to include him here because he's so cool.
He's adorable.
Yeah, it's like, again, a noodle pretending to be a person. So he's like wearing a mask, he's an imposter.
Absolutely.
So then with every single brand that I do, well, not every single one, but most, I love to just include an excessive amount of fun brand illustrations. So I did all of these, and I'll put a quick background behind here so we can see it better.
I love them.
But yeah, I've been super into doing illustrations with this like light halftone in there. It just adds so much personality without having to like work too hard for
yeah,
it.
exactly. It gives it like that subtle edge of like there's a lot of really good texture and detail going on here, but it still has that fun feel and vibe, which I love.
Yeah. So incorporated a bunch of those, and I am definitely not a copywriter, but since I've been doing more brand strategy and more copywriting and working with copywriters, I'm kind of slowly working on those skills. So I was able to like write some of my own copy, authentically tasty, deceivingly healthy.
Which sounds great.
Yes.
Loving it.
Got to have the pairing. So yeah, that's kind of where I ended up last night. Definitely was working on this last night in the hotel room, getting things polished.
I think that's how we all are at Adobe MAX. We are all diving into the project files just the evening before, so, you know.
Yeah, so then, like usually if you've seen my past Adobe Lives, I like to kind of create a board like this one on the top right where I can see kind of some of the core assets together, what some of the main brand colors look like as backgrounds, as headline colors. And then usually I'll test out what the logo looks like on top of an image just to make sure that it works pretty well.
Absolutely.
And then after I establish some of those core assets like the color palette, the type system, which I'll probably dive into that in a second, then I like to just kind of expand on that and use all those assets in use. So whether it's social media stories, merch, which I'll dive into in a little bit, obviously, if this is
doing some nice mock-ups, loving
this
it.
Is it'll be a a physical company where they have like produce real products.
If they dive into it, I think this is like such an attractive way to present that design as well because it still has that fun, but it also doesn't distract either, which is perfect. So it has that like sophistication while still having that playfulness. Loving it. Especially
like if you imagine yourself at a grocery store or like even if it's a fancy grocery store, which I would imagine this might be sold at, like in any kind of store setting, there are so many options, so many different things on the shelves. So to me, I'm always, even though I love things that are playful and cool and cute, I'm always drawn to the more like slightly more minimal packaging that has less texture and less stuff.
Absolutely.
Because it's like a break for our eyes, and it makes me appreciate that restraint a little bit more, rather than putting stuff all over the place all the time.
I agree 100%, and I also think that it really showcases the effort and like the cleverness that you have come up with here and features that like front and center. We do have people saying we can all get a little fusilli from time to time. I assume that's kind of pasta.
Yes.
I think that
It's
I hope I said that right.
Fusilli.
Okay, fusilli.
Yeah.
So loving it. Keep those pasta puns coming in, folks.
Kind of where I left off last night. I knew I kind of wanted this yellow in here, but I like being super honest about it. I was not loving the rest of the colors.
Okay.
So I wanted to just since we are at Adobe MAX here. I wanted to test out the Recolor tool, which I've used a few times.
Absolutely.
Get this guy over here. No, he'll stay over there. All right, so I could definitely just like adjust these as like within the color wheel here, but since there are these nifty AI features, I can just pop in here and kind of just see, these are some sample prompts.
And just kind of let it do its thing and use the sample prompts just to experiment a little bit before you get to using your own. Ooh,
like
that's great.
That black might be a little bit heavy, but I actually really like how monochromatic these three colors are, and they still feel like authentic pasta-y colors.
Absolutely, and that's what I was thinking. Is like it has that kind of earthiness. Where you would see that in a pasta bag, honestly.
Yeah. And then you can just easily reset back to the original color palette. So let's see. Let's just see what happens if I type in pasta.
Yeah, let's see if we get some of those. I imagine like greens and like tans and things like that.
Ooh, that's like.
I actually love that.
That's very calming.
Yes, it is.
Nice. Yeah. That's a little wacky.
We have people in the chat who are like the great pasta wars. If mac and cheese don't float your boat, might as well go home. Reverb Mike is putting his foot down in the chat.
Yeah.
Joey Maloney is also saying yes to the pasta. talking about pasta mustaches. So you are definitely empowering the chat to come
very
forward
cool.
with their pasta loves this afternoon for sure.
I mean, honestly, that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to Italy, is to eat as much pasta as possible.
Of course, yes. Pastable.
Should I ask everyone if they prefer this palette or this palette?
Yeah, let's say we can call this the warm palette and the cool palette. Like, because it's kind of, unless you've got another
Well, I was just going to say, like, this one can be palette A.
That's a much better.
And then this one can be palette B.
Okay,
So let us know which one you like the most.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you like palette A or palette B best. And then kind of as we wait for a little bit of feedback from our friends in the chat, maybe we can talk about how you move forward after you kind of choose your colors, because something I thought of when we got that one that had like the black square is like, would you be changing a lot of these illustration elements, like inverting the colors to look different on other colors and experimenting with the recolor and that effect? Or do you tend to keep them all like pretty uniform as far as all of the illustrations stay the same color and only changing backgrounds? Like,
let's see. Is there a way to grab some of the past options here?
Maybe if we scroll down.
That's similar. But I think the top here is different. So
did it go?
Yeah, it just changed a little bit. There we go. That's the same palette.
Love it.
Okay, what are we saying here? They're loving B?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of A, I think. A and B, maybe more Bs. Lots of votes for palette B coming in on the YouTube chat. So yeah, let's go ahead and do palette B then.
Awesome. Well, there we go. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, loving it.
So basically, to your question, and I love the Recolor tool, but at the same time, like for me, I've always found color a very, very easy thing to just like latch onto and create color palettes. Like I think I'm just a colorful gal.
Honestly, that is an incredible superpower to have. Me, I'm the kind of person where like I need to jump in there and use that recolor, and it really helps me for my process. But for you, maybe like experimentation as you move through, and it's like a quick visit. In there.
So generally, what I like to do with these with like these brand boards that I'll send to a client as like the first time that they get to see the brand identity.
Yeah.
I'll usually include a page pretty similar to this, where it just shows all the core brand colors.
Yeah.
Whoops. Just so that like you can see it in action, but you can also see it by itself, just to have an extra layer of context. Let's see here.
I feel like it also it's one of those pages that really puts the client into the mood as far as they feel like they're being immersed in what you have created for them.
Exactly.
And I love it. I also love creative designs for this particular like color palette page, which is really great.
Let's see. Would maybe
We could do oh, that's nice.
Sometimes when I'm not sure like what to do for an extra color, I'll just like click all over the board and see what happens. Like
you really have like
that one was
just
nice.
Like you said, gone through and like snagged like a great color palette.
Yeah.
Like that looks so good.
But it's weird though, because like honestly, if I saw just this color palette, I don't think I would ever be attracted to it, or I don't think I would ever really be drawn to it. But seeing it in context like this makes me like it a lot more.
Looks delicious.
Yeah.
We have a question from the chat asking what fonts you're using and how to add halftones to your work.
Oh yeah, so the fonts that I'm using, and honestly, that was one of my to-dos for this, is to create the type system. Let's see here if I can find the fonts. All right. So what I also like to do for clients is create this type system page. And I'm going to try to create this relatively quickly. Because again, it's just another layer for them to see. I think I did that twice. It's another layer for them to see just
like all the
what their
different
assets are.
possibilities, what the assets look like all together. I think that's a great point, because somebody who has very little like design know-how might not even notice all of those finer points of like the design package, and so just kind of putting it in front of them and letting them see all the different things that they have available to them is really great.
Yeah. And in this context too, it allows them to kind of see what the hierarchy should be for the type. Like that's one thing that might, like, certain clients struggle with quite a bit. Is like they make all the type the same size and then you can't read it on anything.
And your client is probably going to take all this stuff and they're going to go do their other own things with it after you're gone.
Exactly.
In a lot of cases, so it gives them like a guide to work with going forward.
Right.
So it all kind of looks cohesive and what you intended.
Exactly. So then this one here is HK Grotesque, which is just always one of my favorite body copy and like smaller detail fonts, because
100%.
It's so clean and legible, but it's so goofy and fun and cheerful looking.
This would be a great time to do a little screenshot, folks, because we've got all of our fonts laid out here.
Yeah.
Unless there's another one after this. I think it's just the three.
I think it was just those three.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to include HK Grotesque. Regular is a
like in a different
action font.
Nice.
And then track that puppy out a little bit. And then usually I'll kind of label these as well. Where is the align? I can't have those not aligned. That'll drive me nuts.
Yeah, these are all really excellent choices. And I think that, to me, they have like a very particular voice altogether, but I think that you do a really great job in your portfolio and with these projects of like giving kind of a new vibe to such prestigious looking fonts as well, because now, before I would have thought that this was going to be like a particular vibe, like a very stern vibe, but now it looks fun to me because I've seen what you've done with this particular brand with it, so I just really love it.
And then for some reason, I always like adding like just a tiny little thing below smaller headlines like this.
Yes.
So I'm going to add this little cavatappi underneath here as just a tiny little design accent.
I love it.
Make him yellow. I don't know why the pasta are boys, but they are.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah.
That's what they feel like in my heart.
Yeah. So I feel it. So really, when I deliver things to clients, they always get this type page. They always get a color palette page. This kind of main brand assets page as well. And I have, when I offer my branding services to clients, I offer 3 different packages in 3 different sizes.
Yeah.
So if someone has a smaller budget, they can get just only the core assets, where you're kind of going to get only those main pages I just mentioned. But if you want to really go all out and get a very, very comprehensive identity, you'll get those core pages, but then you'll get the illustrations and patterns and so many other pieces as well.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Let's see. Did this change color? So this is another thing that I literally just tried out last night, but it was super easy to use. So this is the
I think I know what's coming.
Mock-up capability in Illustrator that when it was first announced, I was like, there's no way I'm going to use that, because like it's Photoshop. There's Photoshop, but when I used it last night, I fully understood why it makes so much sense. So what you can do, so I created this label. I'm going to group that, select the image in the background, because I want to make that label kind of mesh or warp onto the label in the background. So select
absolutely.
both. Go to Object, Mockup Beta, Make, and then it's just going to sit here for a second, kind of gathering what's in the image, what's within the label itself, kind of finding out where those edges are, so it can kind of mesh onto there.
It's it's worth the wait, though.
Yes.
So you can see all of this wonderfulness.
So then the next step, though, what you got to do, hang on. If you click into here, you have to go to normal and then multiply.
Yeah, use a little. Oh, so good.
There's some funky edges, but
that's
that can always
that
be
you
touched
can
up
tweak.
later.
I think with these features and stuff, kind of tweaking little fine details around the edges and things is 100% understandable, depending on what you're doing with it, because every project's different. But the fact that you can do it so easily is just amazing.
Let's see here.
We've got
Do we
Kristen.
have any water available? I'm about to start coughing. I had a Coke. I had a soda.
Got a party going on here
Yeah.
at Adobe MAX. We've got Kristen in the chat saying, this looks so good. Absolutely obsessed with Sydney's work. We're in the same boat, Kristen, honestly. We absolutely are in the same boat. We've got comments from chat. I'm watching this working on a pasta event for a client, they say, which is
Nice.
perfect. So maybe take a little bit of inspiration. Maybe work with the same process that Sydney is working on as she moves through this kind of branding identity. Get a little inspiration here.
Yeah.
We've got more people jumping in and talking about their favorite pasta. Keep it coming.
Heck yeah. Let's throw that cavatappi noodle and give him his own package.
It looks like some folks are talking about getting access to any new features. Yes, you may have to, for anybody at home who's trying to update their apps and things like that, you may need to go in and do it manually, maybe restart your desktop client and take a look at the updates page specifically, just to make sure that all of those apps are updated.
Yeah, last night I just went into Creative Cloud, typed in Illustrator beta, or like went through the longer list of somewhere in here. There's the beta apps. If you go in there, you can download the different betas.
Yeah.
And then this feature is just already available in that beta.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely a great place to explore and kind of dive into. Opens up a whole new world of all the different stuff that you can really do and take a look at. So highly recommend. Loving this second design that you're doing. You're really creating not only like a great looking project here, but also like a series.
Yeah.
Which I'm loving.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, since I'm such a visual person, like I'm sure a lot of these our viewers are, I mostly tell the difference between things just by color.
Yeah.
Like if you tell me, go buy that kind of shampoo or whatever, I'm not going to know what that,
It's
I
the
need to
pink
know the
one.
color of the
Yeah,
packaging first.
Exactly. I need to see it so I know what it is. It'll get lost on the shelf to me.
Yeah, exactly. Again, which is why we like nice, simple, clean packaging.
Yes.
So we have that breathing room. Okay, that one turned out a little bit better with the color.
I love it.
But yeah,
And
then
it's another thing that's like understandable to like kind of go in and experiment too, because the oh, that looks so good. It keeps like distracting me from my sentence. As soon as that blending mode goes in there, it just looks so good. But yeah, tweak it a little bit and experiment as you kind of jump into your own projects, because this is like an incredibly powerful feature now available that I think is going to change up my whole workflow, really.
Yeah. Let's see. So I always, and one of my former employers would always say this, that you gotta, whenever you create a new brand, you gotta do the T-shirt test.
Oh yeah.
To see if the logo and the brand looks good on a T-shirt in any sense. And I think the logo would look pretty nice on a T-shirt. It would just be, it's just, again, it has that level of sophistication, but
Absolutely.
it's like silly at the same time. But we don't always want to just wear a T-shirt with a logo on it, so I always like to try to just incorporate some kind of fun phrases or taglines on there. So, and I wrote some of these dorky lines last night.
Oh my gosh,
which
I love it.
I like the upsetty without spaghetti.
Upsetty without spaghetti is a shirt that I would love to own.
No.
I need it for myself. Reverb mic coming through with more with more puns. We also need to know what Sydney's favorite pasta shape is. I agree. We're going to need to know about your favorite pasta shape.
I mean, it really depends on the use for it.
Yeah.
I love mac and cheese so much. So if it's for mac and cheese, I'd say cavatappi for sure. I love a ravioli or a tortellini because you're putting cheese directly into the pasta.
Yeah. I think a cavatappi for me, honestly, because I've had steak mac and cheese with cavatappi, which for me is awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm a steak gal. So I think that sold me on cavatappi.
Oh yeah.
For a long time. This is great. That's perfect. That's so perfect.
Oh my god.
Upsetty without spaghetti. Story of my life.
I would actually really love to produce this shirt.
You should. I would buy it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the first person in your DMs. Like, where's the link?
Yeah. Where's
Give
the
it.
spaghetti?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cavatappi is amazing, says Cody. A lot of people throwing up props for lasagna.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Cody's saying, I'm upsetty without spaghetti. Other
Yes.
people pointing can confirm. Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Mockup feature is awesome. So much time saving and T-shirt test. Love it. This from Samuel Jones Price. Thank you so much, Samuel. Yeah, I think that this is really going to improve and kind of expedite a lot of processes for a lot of people, because really what you've been able to do utilizing these features is spend more time on like the vibe and the look and feel and stuff of this brand without having to spend the time to, I don't know, create your own mock-ups from scratch and do all these different things that I end up like kind of dreading during the process because I just want to focus on what stuff is looking like.
Right.
So I love it. Would buy that T-shirt for sure from Joey Maloney. I think we are recruiting people who are waiting for the spaghetti shirt. I think that's what's happening in the chat. I think they're making it happening.
Yes. Yeah, we'll start like some sort of merch campaign.
Use your noodle. Indeed. Just like for no other reason than fans of pasta. You know, like
exactly.
just
like there really doesn't have to be any more reason than that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remember you mentioned earlier, someone asked how I did the halftone.
Yes, yeah.
So what I did with all these, I drew these on my iPad first because I would be lost without my iPad Pro.
I also illustrate on it. It's a great process.
Hell yeah. So I will sketch that first. Then I go over it with a like a thicker brush like this. And I think this is from True Grit Supply, maybe?
Yes.
He's got some great, or he, they, whatever, if it's a company or a person, has some great brushes available. And then once I have the, like, those thicker lines in there, then I think that that organization also has like a halftone brush too. So then I'll take like the fine grain and then just go through like just the second layer of where that shadow would be. So like you think of the darkest shadow and then like the second darkest shadow and just kind of keep that curve going.
Kind of build it up in different levels. I bet that is a very like almost kind of meditative process too once you get into that portion of the project. I know it would be for me for sure.
Yeah.
We've got some sayings for you, by the way.
Oh no.
feeling saucy and ready spaghetti in the chat.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off there. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's perfect. Let's see. Some of these are vectorized. Some of these aren't. Again, you can kind of tell I was thinking on the fly last night when I was creating these. But let's see. And I did find, so usually I'll just kind of like, it really, really depends on the style of illustration if I'm going to use live trace or if I'm going to vectorize anything. This style, I might have actually just kept it as raster artwork because you're able to maintain that level of just hand-drawn crispiness to it.
Right.
But for this, I decided to vectorize. Works pretty well. You can't really look too closely at some of those.
But I think it's a great example of like the possibilities of what could be. Like, you know, anybody who's doing a project like this. Yeah, the possibilities, folks. Anything is possible. Okay?
Yes.
Anything possible. We also have a chat question coming in talking about, do you make mock-ups? And if not, where to get them. And I think we've kind of highlighted the great capabilities, the possibilities within Illustrator today on, you know, kind of creating your own mock-ups the way that Sydney did. But I think that we could get a little bit going in the chat if anyone has some cool resources they want to share as well, because this is also a great space to come and make creative friends and figure out where other folks are getting their resources and things. So let us know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least for me, so this image was from Adobe stock. Yeah, I just typed in pasta mockup, and granted, this is just a JPEG, but I mean, it works just fine when you pop it into Illustrator.
Yeah.
So Adobe stock is a great resource. Yellow Images is another really great one where it's just really simple, clean mockups that are uncomplicated, no fuss.
Yeah.
So you can just download them. They're very easy. You need some underwear mockups, you know.
Yeah. Because I'm always looking for brief mock-ups.
Exactly. I actually had to purchase a mock-up of underwear and a thong once.
Really?
For a client. Yeah.
Like sometimes you find yourself in strange places.
Yeah. But I was like, hey, you know what?
You know what? It's a first, and why not have that in the portfolio? You know.
All right. Well, I like that tote. I would also carry that tote around.
Absolutely. Use your noodle is great.
Yeah. Bring it to the grocery store. Get all your noodles.
Pasta shop.
There's a little empty space down there, but we'll move past.
Let's see. Christy Hepworth talking about if I need a mock-up, I use Adobe stock and use the free section where you can find really great things. And I think that, that's actually a really great point because where a lot of projects, you can find like the right mock-up for you from one of these great resources that you shared. But in this case, if you can find what you need on Adobe stock and you can take an image that's perfect and just kind of like insta mock it up right there immediately, and it kind of I don't have to go through the stress and like rigmarole of like trying to find the perfect mock-up for that specific like super niche thing I'm trying to showcase, right?
Yeah.
And it just takes away a lot of that stress, and I end up with really fabulous images.
Yeah, exactly.
Pixels or Graphic Burger in the chat. A lot of people sharing a lot of great resources. Thank you. Honestly feel so much more inspired now to create my own mock-ups because of the new mock-up beta feature in Illustrator. Well, thank you, Kristen. I'm glad you've been here with us to be inspired. Absolutely. This is a great question. Sam J. Price says, what are your thoughts on using QR codes in branding guidelines? Considering now a lot of content is online and most businesses are using QR codes in marketing material. Do you ever include QR codes in like a brand guideline?
I think I have once, and it was a specific request from the client. And once they requested it, I realized that's a perfect thing to include in a set of brand guidelines because so many people can just go online and just generate anything.
Yeah.
And they can add the like that crappy text that like curves around the top that says scan to scan the link or whatever. And as designers, we can just make those QR codes look so much nicer. Even if you just put like a very soft white box behind it, that just makes all the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some clients just need that little extra level of detail. I don't know what a carbonara recipe is, so I was going to make like a social media graphic. So
we could throw some
placeholder
stuff
text.
in there. Yeah, placeholder text. We could just put some of chat's sassy sayings in there too if we want. Like the what was it? You're gonna have to put them into the chat for us again, Robert, because there were a few there that I thought were pretty great.
16 ounces of sassy sauce.
Sassy sauce, yes, indeed. Minced words.
Yes. Yeah, there we go. 2 tablespoons minced words. There we go.
Let us know what else we're putting in it, folks. Kristen also saying, what is your favorite part of the entire branding process, excluding receiving the final seal of approval? Yes, indeed. Good point.
Oh my God, yeah. Getting no edits is like just warms up my little heart.
Don't you just feel like a good bean? Like
yes.
I'm good at my job.
I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my job well. I would say probably creating just all the rest of these assets. So I love creating the main brand. I love that like aha moment when you like think of the main brand idea is so fun, and you're just like, again, you feel like a happy little bean that you thought of that idea.
Yeah, like I made this.
Yeah,
I made this.
Yeah, or a happy little noodle.
Yes. Feel like everything's possible.
Yes. So I love that feeling. I love creating all these illustrations. As you can tell, I usually go way overboard when it comes to creating those because it's just so fun. And then I really like just creating all of the rest of the brand elements. Usually I'll kind of call those the brand expansion phase.
Okay.
So if I could pull up just an example of one of my past clients. Let's see. Yeah, so like usually I'll have them approve a logo first. And then once the logo is approved, just with like a couple extra little bits so they can see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Then I will move into the brand expansion phase. Hang on. So they can see those main assets that they've already approved, but then everything else.
Yeah.
So that like that way I'm not wasting time creating dozens of mock-ups that are just going to be thrown away because they didn't like the initial direction.
Yeah. I think that's really, really great because it saves your time, it saves the client's time, and then most of the work that you're doing is focused on the best possible, outcome for that, which is great.
So yeah, this is one of my other favorite parts is just creating all the rest of these extra bits because it honestly helps me feel good about what I've created and realize like, okay, this was the right choice, this was the right color. Maybe I'll go back and darken this color a little bit or include a new accent font or something.
We've also got something to add to our recipe from the chat. Someone saying add a pinch of eureka moments, which I think, pinch of eureka.
Now the real test will be is if I can spell eureka.
I think it just went up. You guys are going to have to put eureka in the chat.
Yeah, someone spell it.
This is happens to me every stream, by the way, where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try to spell this, and if I get it wrong.
Right, and I know that I can spell it, but it's because I'm like, on
we're live.
camera.
Yeah, we're live.
I'm not gonna. Well, no one's helping, so.
Yep. We've got Kristen saying, "Oh my God, those colors are legendary." I agree 100%. We've got Kyle T. Webster in the chat. It is good to see you, Kyle. Welcome in.
There we go.
There we go. CJ coming through with the double-spaced caps.
There we go. That's what I was gonna go for, but you know.
It's always good to double check.
Things like this live on, and then people realize you can't spell, and it's just you don't need that.
We've got some folks wondering, does the chat ever change their mind about color palette halfway through? And when the logo comes first, and if it's approved, other elements come later. Am I right? Like, kind of asking about that process. Like maybe we can do the first question first. If like, do they change their mind about color palettes in the middle?
No. So generally, what I do, and then who's going to be a good example of this? Because I'm always changing my process a little bit. And I recently changed up my discovery process. I used to have these really long mood boards where there was a lot of different options. And it was just always, like, I always had to do more explaining than was necessary because that meant it wasn't as intuitive as it should be.
Yep.
So this is for an interior designer.
Oh, I love this.
I did the description up here, like the main concept.
Yeah.
The typography, like then breaking down some of the core elements. And these can change depending on the project, but then I'll include one page here. And I got just like the idea and concept for this kind of layout from one of my fellow freelance designers, Cagney. She's one of the freelancers that helps me out with my workload on a daily basis, which is just wonderful. So yeah, just giving more of a reduced amount of images and then having these like little samples of the color palette scattered around here.
Yeah.
So with this one, the client liked this direction, but she was a little bit scared of that red. So we decided to nix that red and then include a color from up here, which I'm a pretty flexible person. I'm happy to work with what the client wants. You don't always have to be super duper strict on things. So I was happy to work with the color palette like that with her. So we're in the middle of the design process for this one, so I don't have any logos to show yet. But if we've referenced this other project that I just showed, let's see. So this is like one of the later phases of the process. But as you can see, I'm presenting like a primary logo, a monogram, and then like a secondary version of the logo.
Yeah.
Basically things that come very easily from this core primary logo. And within this, they get like a taste of what the color palette is.
Yeah.
That's why there's this strip in the middle to show them what the color palette is. They've already seen it in the mood boards. So this is kind of like their second version of seeing it. So usually there aren't too many reservations by this point, but again, they can always feel free to change their minds. Usually I'll provide reasoning as to like, well, I chose this kind of pink because it's good when you put white on top of it, but it also works well for text color. Like I'll give those reasonings, and then we can find the core of why they want that changed.
I think this really says to me a lot. First of all, what folks in the chat are saying, which is Sydney's organization skills are truly enviable, which I have to agree. This is just absolutely gorgeous. But you do a lot of communication. And so maybe, you know, clients, you give them ample time to understand how you are interpreting their vision and asking them those questions. So as you move forward in the process, there really are not a lot of abrupt changes because you've gone through those points very well and really hammered that idea out before solidifying things.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, there'll always be those clients that are a little bit more indecisive, that require a few more edits, but so much of that kind of trickiness can be avoided with like just a ton of communication. Always, like at this point now, I definitely have not always been this way. I've recently become a lot more organized with my communication and my process. But how do I fill with text there? Now I over communicate. I always let them know what the phase, like what phase we're in, saying like, this is the logo concept phase.
Yes.
This is what I'm looking for this kind of feedback from you. This is what we're going to do next once this is approved. We can't go back.
I also found it's really easy, like the communication is really great when you kind of indicate to them what certain kinds of feedback mean, because I didn't even realize going through that process, telling a client, you can make a minor change. Is going to mean something totally different to someone who doesn't design for a living.
Exactly.
So like understanding the client, understanding that process and being really open and leaving a great point of communication at that time, I think is really going to work wonders.
And what I also really love to do with my process now is I'll record Loom videos. So it's just this little guy right up here. But it will, you can just like screen record, use your audio, you can be on camera or not. And I love it when I can give feedback to my designers, because it's just, sometimes it's easier for everybody if you can just talk through something rather than just typing something out where it could be misconstrued maybe.
Absolutely. To hear a client's thoughts and hear how they're trying to express it. And that rather than what they settle on in text because they're, you know, not exactly sure how to say it. Well,
and recently I've started to try to encourage some of my clients to send me Loom videos as well. Just so that like I can hear, so that we don't have the need for as many calls. Because sometimes like a call that's 5 minutes was like, well, you could have just recorded a 5-minute Loom and then my schedule would be a little bit more free.
I think that there's a lot of interesting ways to engage with the client in that aspect. I once had a client where we couldn't really settle on things like verbally or visually to really get his point across. So I said, send me some music, and he made me a Spotify playlist, and I realized what it was he was trying to do. I was like, okay, cool. You know, like,
holy cow,
that communication could be anything, you know?
That's a super unique approach.
Just give me a song that feels gritty like what you want.
Okay,
because I don't get it. And just a quick reminder, we've got, you know, maybe about 5, 6 minutes left here with Sydney. So if you have any last minute questions, let us know in the chat. I see some coming through, which I'm going to read real quick. But if we run out of time and can't get to everybody's questions, about 4 minutes, I think that they can reach out to you on social media and stuff like that. Definitely hit you up after the stream. So we've got some questions like coming in from talking about, are there some key things that you have noticed that you've changed in your communication, like specifics of like what is like I definitely don't do this anymore when it comes to that process?
Well, I can definitely dive into that, especially like if you have questions for me personally. I'm always happy to chat like over Instagram, or like sometimes I just send people Loom videos when they ask me questions.
That's
like,
perfect.
I don't want to text. I'll just send you a video.
Perfect.
But I wanted to hop into Express really quick here before we leave. So what I've been trying to do a lot with clients recently is encourage them to use Express kind of as their way to keep all their files so they can create those social media templates. So this is kind of just an example of like what a brand board would look like for Imp Pasta if they
Yes.
were real. So I would add all their logos in here. I've uploaded all the fonts, which these aren't Adobe fonts, but I purchased them. Even though that says trial, I did purchase it. Added those in here. And then for templates, like I want to create a story template that I had created earlier. And that's an Illustrator file that I'm just going to pop into Express, which is so nice because I love Illustrator because there's just a bunch of stuff everywhere that I can always grab and drop.
Absolutely.
Clients don't always love that, so this way it's nice and clean for them and it's an easy transition.
Yeah.
So open that there. Sometimes you might need to adjust just a little bit, like move things around, but again, that's on us as designers to move those things.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a really great way. First of all, it's so quick and easy just to jump in. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cute. But so easy just to jump in and use the files you were just working with in Illustrator and then have access to all of the cool capabilities in Express. So I'm loving that.
Yeah. Let's see. So normally I would have created like probably a whole grid of social media graphics, kind of like you were seeing with those other clients.
Yeah.
I would do like maybe an example of what a newsletter might look like, an example of just like the above the fold and right below on their website, just so that like sometimes they don't always hire me to do their website. So I want to just nudge them in the right direction or encourage them like, look how great the example is. Let's just hire her for the website.
Yeah, just let me do it,
just
guys.
let me do it.
I'll do it.
Right. And then more social media graphics. And then a lot of my clients now are signing on for brand strategy, so we'll include just these very extensive sets of brand guidelines where it includes all of our brand strategy.
Love it.
Whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then brand voice, and then the visual brand as well, which has all the do's and don'ts.
How to use this once we leave, or how to use this going forward when, if you're not going to be there to kind of, work it out. This is how you would put it together. I love that. But yeah, we are coming to a close here for our live stream, so we do have to take off. Thank you all so much for joining us. Stay tuned because we have more in the First Take series coming up today, tomorrow. Definitely give Sydney a follow on social media. Hit her up with any questions you may have after the stream, and that is all the time we've got for today. Thanks so much, Sydney.
Yeah, thank you. This was so much fun. Now I get to chill at the conference.
Yes. Bye, guys.
See ya.